Today on Babbie's House, you'll meet Juan and Kala Baxter, also known as Those Baxters. And they are committed to building lives, families, and marriages, all for the glory of God. Stick around. Babbie's House is coming to you right now.
Every day is filled with possibility. At Babbie's house, Babbie's house, everybody is family. Oh, welcome to Babbie's house.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Babbie's House, where everybody is a member of the family. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I'm Babbie Mason, the host of the show, and I'm so glad you're here. Well, today on Babbie's House, my very special guests are a dynamic duo. They are married, and they are Juan and Kala Baxter, also known as Those Baxters. That's what their show is called, and they are committed. They are committed to building lives. They're committed to building families and marriages, and they are committed to commitment. They're committed to commitment. You got that? They are here to bless God and bless people. They're going to tell us all about their ministry and everything they're up to. We want to catch up with Those Baxters here today on Babbie's House. But right now, I want to sing a song that, listen, is right out of the Bible. You can open up 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and sing almost word for word this passage called Love is the More Excellent Way. I can speak with the tongues of men and angels, but if I don't have love, I'm just a clanging cymbal. I can have the faith to remove the mountains, but if I don't have love, then I am nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love is humble all of the time, not easily angered, enduring the test. So never, never forget, love is the more excellent way. Oh yeah. Listen to me. I can have a gift of prophecy, love is the more excellent way. But if I don't have love, does it profit me? Love is the more excellent way. I can understand all mysteries, but if I don't have love, it's not enough, you see. Love is the more excellent way. Love is patient, love is kind, love is humble all of the time. It's not easily angered, enduring the test. So never, never forget, love is the more excellent way. I can throw my body into the place, but if I don't have love, I don't have anything. I could give to the poor everything I own, but a heart without love is just a heart of stone. Oh, love is patient, love is kind, love is kind, love is humble all of the time. Love is not easily angered, enduring the test. So never, never forget, love is the more excellent way. I'm gonna sing it one more time. Love is patient, love is patient, love is kind, love is kind, love is humble all the time. Love is not easily angered, enduring never, never forget. Oh, never, never forget. Hide love in your heart. Never let it depart. Keep love on your mind. Speak love all of the time. Love is the more excellent way. Well, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here to meet those Baxters. Juan and Kala Baxter are marriage ministers, really. And they build marriages and families, and they are dedicated to getting the message out through media, through their radio programs. And we're just so happy to have those Baxters, that's what they're called, on the show today. Will you help me to welcome to Babbie's house, Juan and Kala Baxter. So happy to have you all on the show today. Thank you for being here. Listen, can I say this? Y'all are just beautiful. You radiate the love of God, and you look so good while you're doing it. Can I just say that? Can I put that out there? You know, I use that phrase, making God look good.
Yes.
And that's my way of saying give him glory.
Yeah.
Make him desirable to others.
Yes.
And even before you open up your mouth, I just want to say, even before you open up your mouth, you just look good, okay? You look in the part. You can tell that God's hand is upon your life.
Amen.
And one of the main things that I read when I was online and listening to your show and just seeing some of the things that you're doing is that you all are in the ministry of building marriages.
Yes.
And you told me that your marriage is a ministry.
Yes,
right.
it is.
So, Kayla, can you tell us what you mean by that?
So our marriage is a ministry even built by faith. So we were married by faith. We did not know each other long. We knew each other for 6 months and
yeah, I
got
read
married. No, 4 months and got married 6 months later.
Yes.
And it was based on faith. God brought us together. And when people hear our story, when they meet us, our marriage is always, our marriage as a ministry is not something that we even just made up. But people see us and going out into the world to show what love looks like, to love on other people. If we see a marriage that needs some help, like even through discernment and God, talking to us about what to share with people, listening to their stories, our marriage becomes a ministry for others. And sometimes it's even just in a smile and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, is this a practice? I mean, do people call you and make appointments to come for counseling?
Yes.
They do.
Yes, they do.
So talk to me more about that.
So I'm a therapist. My wife is a certified life coach. But together we're a marriage. How can I say it? Support system for people. Because a lot of times marriages need support systems. And the Bible says,
And I say all the time.
Listen, it says seek
the
ye
time,
wise
marriages.
counsel, right?
Okay.
And a lot of times we get bad counseling.
Yeah.
From bad people who have bad marriages.
Okay.
And sometimes
So true.
sometimes we don't want to listen to those people who we see have a good marriage because we think it's not real. They just putting it on in front of people. But if you get to know us, like, this is just how God made us. He developed us to be this way. A lot of times people are like, oh, we love y'all ministry. And we had to think about what ministry y'all talking about? Just us being married? This is how God said you're supposed to honor your wife. I'm just honoring her the way that he taught me. He showed me how to honor. I didn't have an example of what a man's supposed to do with a wife. All I knew was God said this is the application. Use it.
Yes.
And then because of that, it worked itself out, and we learned it wasn't always peaches and cream. We had to, go through some things to understand what true love for each other meant.
Yes.
And we're not afraid to share our story.
Oh, no, not at all.
Which lots of times you meet people and they maybe have a facade of what you believe or they want you to believe that their life is like. We will share our story, our testimony, just like we are right now. Being open with you is how we are with everyone. And we believe that God even has taken us through some things, our faith journey, to be able to share with others. So
Well, let's talk about some of those things that you learned, because you all got married like 10 months in.
Yes.
Yeah.
10 months you met, and 10 months later you were married.
Yes.
Which is, for most people, a short period of time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because you got to get to know one another. But let's talk about how you got to know one another. What was one of the, how many years have y'all been married now?
21.
21 years,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So what is one of those things that you learned as a wife, how to support your husband? What's one of those key things that we can learn?
So friendship, of course, is one of the most important things. Being your spouse's friend, like me being his friend, but also always praying that the Lord would soften my heart. So if if we're upset with each other, or if their forgiveness is so important, things that happen from the past, I have to be able to get past them. There were some times in our marriage that, things maybe happened, I'll say we're 21 years, so maybe 10 years ago, and I didn't realize that I was still holding on to them, and they would come up, or I would still be upset about something, and my husband would say to me, how long are you gonna be mad at me for that? When are you going to let that go? And I had to pray that the Lord would soften my heart for my husband. And that's a hard prayer when you're upset or when you're still holding on to something. So it's a prayer, and it's something that I share with wives all the time, with people in relationships, engaged people, just on both sides, but especially for a wife, to ask that the Lord would soften my heart so that I can forgive the way that he wants me to.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, Juan, tell us, what is one thing that you can share that as a husband you learned about your wife and how to make your marriage better?
I got a saying I always say, you got to make your wife your John. So I'm from Philly, so we say John, and that means a term like your girlfriend. So a lot of times when you get married, you forget why you got married to that person. You start having children, jobs, and she's no longer your John. She's just a housemate or a roommate. A roommate.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to bring the spark back. So I teach men. I use the Stedman rule. I call it Stedman. Oprah's old man.
Okay.
Because people don't realize I can say Oprah. And everybody like, oh, Oprah Winfrey. If I say Stedman, most people like, who? But that was her support system throughout this journey. He's been there since the beginning, but you don't hear about him, but he was there supporting her. So I always say she's my Oprah and I'm her Stedman. Like, my Stedman rule is to make sure that my queen gets all the support that she needs from her husband. So whatever her dreams are, whatever her goals are, support them. I always say, baby, what you want to do?
Yeah,
all right, let's go. Let's go. Like, if that's what you want to do, I want to make sure that you stay happy and we both die empty.
I like that. Yes, let's give it all away. It's all in.
The what?
All
Everything.
Enough.
Come on, pour it all out. Like, why? Because somebody behind us needs it. And if we hold on to it, they'll never get it.
That's right. That's good. That's a good word. Well, now, see, he says he's working on being a preacher. I say he's already there.
And it shows more.
Yeah, I know. More and more, it says, my best friend always says, you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm like,
well, you are doing it because God has put you in front of a microphone.
Yes.
Where you get to preach,
yes.
So to speak. You get to proclaim the message of Christ through your relationship. And this is so beautiful. So, Kala, tell us about Those Baxters. Tell us about this beautiful show that you all get to do and how we can find and what we can expect when we listen to the show.
So we have a radio show. It's called Street Psalms, and we are known as Those Baxters. Our last name is Baxter, and God told my husband that we were to come together as one and be called Those Baxters.
It's Those Baxters.
Those
Not the other Baxters.
No, not
Those Baxters.
You see them, those Baxters right there.
Yes, and so we originally had two different radio shows. I had a radio show, and my husband had his own radio show where he did gospel, hip hop, and R&B, and I was doing not traditional, but contemporary gospel music. And God told us to come together as one. We also interview a lot of artists, so it's a blessing to be interviewed today with you.
To be on the other side of the mic.
To be on the other side, but through that, our show, Street Psalms, it's on Power 104.9 FM here in Atlanta, and it comes on Sunday mornings from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and we do what's called inspirational hip-hop and R&B, but that's actually Christian R&B and Christian hip-hop. and to reach people that don't know Jesus, people that want to know Jesus, to go out into the world for Christ. And that is what he has asked us to do in this season.
Yes.
And we're excited, yeah.
You know, it's something, there is something very solemn. Well, of course, it's the Lord's Day, but there's something very solemn and sacred about listening to the radio on Sunday. Because people will listen to the radio on Sunday looking for something gospel, looking for gospel music, looking for a gospel message, when they won't look for it any other day of the week.
That's true.
And particularly since COVID.
Yes.
On this side of COVID, people are looking for hope.
Yes.
They're looking for help. They're looking for a message. They're looking for music, something for them to hold on to. And so you all do the show together.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing, this teamwork that you all have built. So now when people are listening to the show, talk to us about what you hope that they will get, that they will glean from the show.
Jesus. Our motto is we're merging the streets and the word. So they have to merge. Like we all come from somewhere.
Take it to the streets.
But we all come from somewhere. Sometimes we go to church and we forget that we used to be that
got a
person.
story.
Yeah, we got a story.
And we ain't always been saved.
And we forget that. So when we get these young people that come in and we look at them, we like, oh no. I'm like, yo, you forget that in your time you was them.
Yeah.
You know, so we got to learn how to, when we approach them, that's why God gave us street songs. He said, look, in order to catch men, you got to be smart. He said, you catch more bees with honey. So we had to be smart about how to approach, when we approach the people, because most of them don't listen to gospel music. They never heard gospel music. And the first time they introduced to gospel and to the Lord's music is through us. Like, so they used to hearing all this worldly stuff. And now here it is on Sunday morning, they turn on their same station and they hear us. So we got to make sure that the way that we introduce God, because he told me a long time ago, it's about the introduction of me. How will you introduce me to people? Because I need you to do my introduction the right way.
That's good.
So I make sure that the music is relatable to this next generation, because if it's not, we're going to lose them. I make sure that the word that we give them, I give them the word where it reaches them at, because I speak their language. So I break the Bible down into their language.
Right.
So that they understand it, and it's not scary, and it's not the King James Version, where sometimes you read the King James Version, you're like, whoa, I got to call my mom and like, Mama, can you break this down to me? But I break it down to where they can understand it on their level. It's like being a teacher. You got to be able to teach at every level.
That's good.
Because everybody's in your classroom is not on the same level, but they should be able to understand the same concept.
When it's all done, somebody ought to get something out of what you just said.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So what are people saying? What are the results? You know, how are people being impacted? You know, you got to know that when you put it out there, you got to know that the people are getting something out of it, like you just said. So are you getting feedback? What are people saying?
So one of the things that's even just happening at the station, we get a chance to minister to the other DJs, to the other shows, to people in the area. They are really loving to hear about Jesus. People come up to us that maybe don't usually listen to gospel music, telling us about who is a minister in their family. They come to us. It helps that, you know, I'm a life coach and he's a therapist, because we're able to hear their own struggles or their stories and also tell them about how good Jesus is.
Yeah.
You know, through all of that. So people are coming to us to talk about Jesus or wanting help, who don't normally open up. So that is something that's happening just from our radio show and people being able to relate to us through the music we play.
Yes.
Juan, what would you say is probably one of the, you know, as you're getting feedback from people, or you're talking to people at the station, you know, or you're getting a cup of coffee, or you meet somebody in the store and they say, your voice sounds familiar.
Right.
You look familiar. How do I know you?
Right.
Which happens a lot.
Yes, it does.
What do you feel people are struggling with most in your practice, in your sessions, in your feedback from the show?
A lot of people, loneliness. Loneliness. A lot of people feel alone. They feel like they're the only ones dealing with their circumstances, and they have no one to talk to. And I run a lot of men's groups and stuff like this, and I talk to a lot of teenage young men, and a lot of them don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have anybody they can talk to. They don't trust anybody. Everybody's hurt them. So when I talk to them, a lot of them are alone. I would say loneliness. So.
And what's your answer to that?
With God, you're never alone, but He sends people to you. You have to be willing enough to allow those people to help you. Because sometimes we don't understand when we're entertaining angels.
This is true.
We don't understand. Sometimes the angel don't look like what you think an angel is going to look like.
He might be homeless.
He may be homeless.
He might appear to be a homeless person.
He may be homeless.
It happened to me. I believe I have entertained a few angels that looked like they were homeless.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the thing. Like if we as people can listen to each other and just love on each other. You know, my whole thing is about Leo. Love each other. That's it.
Brother. Here he goes preaching.
Yeah.
Be a Leo. Love each other.
Love each other.
That's who God made them to be.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's
it.
beautiful. Well, how can we get more information about your marriage ministry?
Yes.
Your maybe there's a website or something. Lead us there.
Absolutely. So one of the first places to look is even on our Instagram account, which is Those Baxters. And also we have thosebaxters.com, our website, where you can find out more about our radio show. And then we also have Those Baxters trainings, and that's where you can find out about our coaching, our relationship. We work as relationship experts and relationship coaching, and also we do training and life skills development. So
this is so wonderful. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our conversation. But you all are amazing, and I'm just so blessed that you're on the show today. So sit tight. You sit tight as well. After this break, we're going to take a quick break. But after this break, we'll be right back with more of Babbie's House. Stick around. I've been talking with Juan and Kala Baxter, a.k.a. Those Baxters, and they have a beautiful show called Street Psalms, and they're on the radio station, and it's a secular radio station, so this is so cool. The gospel is going out from a secular radio station all over this area. So, Kala, when the show is over, after you've completed another episode and the microphone is off and the lights go down, you're grabbing your purse and heading for the door after another show is over, what is that prayer that you breathe? What do you say to God after you put an exclamation point at the end of another show?
I hope that I have done all that He has asked of me. The words that He has given me to say, that I've said them. I've not judged them. I've been obedient to His word and what He's asked of me.
Amen. That's a good word and a great way to wrap up our conversation. Thank you all so very, very much for being here. God bless you, and we look forward to having you back for an update, okay?
Yes.
Amen. Kayla's words remind me of this. It's a beautiful prayer. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in Thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. And that really is my prayer as well. Here on Babbie's House, I want whatever it is that we say, whatever it is that we do, the words that we sing, to bless, number one, to bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless His holy name. And secondly, to bless you, because I don't know your story, but I do know that God knows your story. And I know that He loves you. He has a plan for your life. And we want to lift you up while we're lifting Him up. He says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto myself. And right now, I believe by His precious Holy Spirit, He is drawing you. If you know Him, He's drawing you closer. If you don't know Him, He's drawing you to Him. So the Lord bless you. Thanks for watching the show. Reach out to me at Babbie.com, and we'll see you soon. God bless you. See you next time.